Lewis Hamilton's debut with Ferrari has certainly left a lot of questions unanswered. The British driver is already focusing on fixing the SF-25's issues ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix. But it's not just Hamilton who's eager for a turnaround. His team is also confident that Shanghai will reveal a much clearer picture of their true potential. Unlike the Australian Grand Prix, this track presents a completely different challenge. So can Hamilton secure a podium finish in just his second race with Ferrari? And with the sprint format in play, can Ferrari recover from the setbacks they faced in the season opener? The first race didn't go as planned for Ferrari. Poor qualifying and strategic miscalculations cost them dearly when it mattered most. But that's now in the past, and the team is looking ahead to a track that differs greatly from Melbourne, not just in terms of aerodynamics, but also weather conditions. That's why Ferrari believes this could be their moment to turn things around. Ferrari has emphasized that the real strength of the team will be seen in Shanghai, urging everyone to move on from the Australian Grand Prix. However, Ferrari's problems go beyond just car performance. One of the biggest concerns has been the lack of clear communication between Lewis Hamilton and his race engineer, Riccardo Adami. If we look at Ferrari's history, one thing is clear: they rarely panic or make dramatic statements in the media. This has been one of their strengths, but at the same time, it's an issue they need to address quickly if they want to compete at the highest level. One of Ferrari's biggest struggles has been adapting to changing track conditions. The SF-25 has shown weaknesses when the surface evolves during a race, making it difficult for the team to keep up with shifting grip levels. Fortunately for them, the unpredictable weather in Melbourne won't be a factor in China, which could work in their favor. Additionally, Charles Leclerc's FP2 run in Australia was more competitive than his actual qualifying session, hinting that Ferrari's struggles might have been more about execution than outright performance. If Ferrari can manage their tires better in Shanghai, especially in the crucial final sector, they have a strong chance of putting on a much better performance. But they now find themselves chasing McLaren, a team that has unexpectedly set the standard early in the season. Still, heading into 2025, Ferrari was seen as the main challenger to the Woking-based squad, and there's still time to prove that expectation right. Hamilton remains optimistic about the car's potential, despite the early struggles. Reflecting on the Melbourne weekend, he admitted that Ferrari failed to unlock the car's full performance, but he believes there's much more to come. However, the concerns extend beyond just raw pace. Communication within the team has also come under scrutiny. Communication issues between Hamilton and his race engineer, Riccardo Adami, have been a major talking point. During the Australian Grand Prix, Hamilton received conflicting weather updates compared to his teammate Charles Leclerc. While Leclerc was informed about heavy rain for several laps, Hamilton was given a much less clear forecast. In high-pressure situations, such miscommunication can completely alter a race strategy, and Ferrari cannot afford such errors if they want to fight at the front. Team principal Frédéric Vasseur acknowledged that Melbourne was an extremely difficult weekend due to changing track conditions and grip levels. He emphasized that the team needs to improve communication and provide Hamilton with the precise information he needs. The goal is simple: fix these issues quickly and ensure that the SF-25 is in a much stronger position heading into Shanghai. Ferrari also faced embarrassment in Melbourne by being outqualified by teams like Williams and Racing Bulls. Hamilton himself found it difficult to overtake them on pure pace, something that should not happen for a team aiming to challenge for the title. With the sprint format coming up in China, Ferrari won't have much time to adjust, making it crucial to get everything right from the start. One of the key adjustments Ferrari needs to make is improving the chemistry between Hamilton and Adami. While Hamilton was frustrated with some of the instructions he received during the race, he also acknowledged that Adami was doing his best. The seven-time world champion pointed out that it's a matter of fine-tuning their communication, something that will improve over time. He stated, "Riccardo did a really good job. We're still learning about each other. We'll review everything and make adjustments moving forward. During the Australian Grand Prix, one particular issue stood out: Hamilton's frustration with the K1 button usage. Adami was trying to help him get comfortable with the car, but debuting in rainy conditions made things even more difficult. It wasn't just the weather, though. Ferrari's overall car setup in Melbourne was far from ideal, and that's an area they'll need to address quickly before the Chinese Grand Prix. Thankfully for Ferrari, the weather in Shanghai is expected to be much more stable. That should allow them to focus purely on performance, rather than dealing with unpredictable conditions. Both Hamilton and Leclerc will be aiming to extract the absolute maximum from their SF-25s, and if the team can find the right balance in their setup, they could be in for a much stronger weekend. For Hamilton, one of the biggest challenges has been building confidence in the car. He admitted that from the moment he stepped into the SF-25 on Friday in Melbourne, he struggled to feel comfortable, especially at high speeds. By Saturday, things were improving, but come race day, he felt like he was starting from scratch again. A lack of trust in the car's setup made it difficult for him to push to the limit, which is something he'll be looking to change in Shanghai. "The setup wasn't where I wanted it to be," Hamilton explained. "If I could go back, I'd position a lot of things differently." This highlights just how much work Ferrari still needs to do to tailor the car to Hamilton's driving style. Unlike Leclerc, who has been with the team for years, Hamilton is still adjusting, and these early races are all about finding the right balance. Leclerc, on the other hand, had his own struggles. His communication with race engineer Brian Bozzi also exposed some of Ferrari's ongoing problems. The team's strategic decisions and race execution have been questioned for years, and Melbourne was another example of why Ferrari has been unable to mount a consistent title challenge. However, Leclerc remains optimistic that Shanghai will paint a different picture. Leclerc firmly believes that Ferrari will look much stronger in Shanghai, mainly because the circuit suits the SF-25 far better than Melbourne did. Initially, there was hope that the front-limited nature of the Australian Grand Prix would work in Ferrari's favor, but that turned out to be far from reality. Now, with a more balanced track layout and stable weather conditions, Ferrari has an opportunity to reset and showcase their true potential. However, words alone won't be enough. Until Leclerc and Hamilton start setting competitive lap times in practice, qualifying, and the race, doubts will remain. The team knows they have the raw pace to challenge McLaren and Red Bull, but execution is where they've been lacking. The upcoming sprint weekend in China means there's even less time to make adjustments, making it crucial for Ferrari to be on point from the very first session. Adding to the challenge is an upcoming FIA regulation change that could impact multiple teams, including Ferrari. A new technical directive will take effect in Shanghai, focusing on the rear wing slots and limiting certain aerodynamic advantages. Red Bull believes McLaren and Ferrari could be among the most affected teams, though the true impact will only become clear once cars hit the track. The FIA's new directive targets the rear wing slot gap, reducing the allowed opening from 2 mm to just 0.5 mm. In Shanghai, teams will have a slight tolerance at 0.25 mm due to the short notice of the rule change, but from Suzuka onward, the 0.5 mm limit will be strictly enforced. Any team exceeding this limit risks disqualification. This rule is primarily aimed at limiting the mini DRS effect, which some teams have been exploiting to gain straight-line speed advantages. If Red Bull's concerns hold true, Ferrari could face a setback with this rule change, as their aerodynamic concept might need adjustments. However, the team remains confident that their performance in China will improve regardless. The stable conditions should allow them to fine-tune their setup and avoid the unpredictability that hurt them in Melbourne. The biggest focus, though, will be on strategy execution and communication, two areas where they cannot afford another misstep. With Shanghai marking the second race of Hamilton's Ferrari career, all eyes will be on how well he adapts and whether Ferrari can turn things around after a disappointing start. The expectations were high coming into the season, and now it's time for them to deliver. With all these factors in play, the Chinese Grand Prix will be a crucial test for Ferrari. The team needs to prove that Melbourne was just a rough start and not a sign of deeper problems. Hamilton, still adjusting to his new environment, will be looking to extract the most from the SF-25, while Leclerc will aim to lead the charge and demonstrate Ferrari's real capabilities. The biggest question remains, can Ferrari close the gap to McLaren and Red Bull? The sprint format means there's little room for error, and every session will count. If Ferrari can sort out their communication issues and optimize their strategy, they have a real chance of turning their fortunes around. However, if the same mistakes resurface, it could be another frustrating weekend for the team and its fans. As the cars take to the track in Shanghai, the pressure is on. Will Ferrari rise to the occasion and fight at the front, or will the struggles from Melbourne continue? One thing is certain. The upcoming race will give us a much clearer picture of where Ferrari truly stands in the 2025 season. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Ferrari can bounce back and challenge for the podium in Shanghai? And how do you think the new FIA directive will impact the competition?